Good morning or good afternoon or good evening, College of Science students. Today we're going to talk about the degree progression guides for chemistry and biology. You need to understand these because it's going to be a part of your homework for your seminar class, either Biology 115 or Chem 194, and important for writing up your plan of study homework for each of those classes. Let's look at chemistry first. So most of you, when you applied for Purdue, came in as a chemistry major. You have several semesters to decide whether or not you wanted to change to a different flavor of chemistry, like the ACS major, ACS chemistry, or the biochem major. So let's look at the differences, because this is a big question I always get, is what are the differences between the chemistry majors? Now, this chart it's going to be in the attached document that came along with that I sent along with your invitation to make an appointment. So here are the differences. So for math, pretty much everybody in chemistry has to take Calc 1, 2, and 3. 161, 162, 261. The big difference is in ACS, you have to take Math 262. That's linear and differential equations. You can choose to take 262 or you can choose to take linear and differential as two separate classes. So for Gen Ed, for general chemistry, organic, and PChem, everybody takes the same classes, right? Analytical, so chemistry, ACS, the analytic has a little bit more coursework when it comes to chemistry. And here's where some of the differences really shine. So I have a lot of students ask me, why ACS? What does this mean that it's an accredited major? What that means is that if you go to any university in the country and you say you have an ACS chemistry major, we know what you've studied. You've studied a certain amount of chemistry and mathematics, that it's pretty much consistent across the country. ACS gives you a little bit of a broader depth of classes than the just regular chemistry major, and biochemistry is also accredited by ACS, so it's got a certain number of courses that you need to take also. Here's where the differences start. So for analytical, the ACS chemistry, you actually don't just take the regular analytical class, you also take 424, which is instrumental analysis. Inorganic, everybody takes 2 semesters except the ACS students need to take the lab. Now, here's where the additional courses come in. Now, chemistry seems pretty basic. Guess what? If you really want to tailor your own major, chemistry is a great way to do it. If you want to say double major in math, if you want to double major in another degree, if you're going into law school or med school and you want to really do your own thing with the biology courses, this is a great major to do that. ACS, this is really a great major for students who are going to be going into research or for going into graduate school or industry because it does kind of cover all your bases. For instance, here there's extra courses that you need in chemistry, including upper level elective or research, accredited chemical literature, and also the biochem class. Now, biochemistry is very, very similar, you can see here, to the regular chemistry major, except you've got pretty much your junior year full of biochemistry, biochemistry lab, and biotechnology, and also junior year you take an entire year of biology, cell, and genetics. Now, these courses are actually sophomore level biology major courses, and you can take them because you all had very rigorous organic chemistry labs, so you do not need to take Gen Bio to take these courses. I have students who ask me, well, I haven't taken bio since high school, am I going to do okay in these? And historically, I can say, yes, my chemists do just fine in these as junior, while you're taking them as a junior. So I wouldn't worry about it. And of course, everybody has to take the seminar courses. So let's talk a little bit about classes for the spring, because when you talk to me this semester, at your appointment, we're going to talk about classes for the spring. So in general, everybody's going to be taking, well, most everybody's going to be taking General Chemistry 126 with Dr. RK and a calculus class, Calc 1, Calc 2, or Calc 3, depending on what calculus you took here. Note, there's 2 science core options here that are open. What does that mean? That means that if you look down here, there's science core curriculum options. So these are the core options that you really should be looking at for your first 2 years. Here's the ones that we suggest. Definitely freshman composition. If you don't have English 106 credit and you need it, I definitely suggest trying to get it done in the spring. Just because we'd like you to have it done by the end of your sophomore year so that you can actually have some basis when you're actually doing a lot more writing junior, senior year. Of course, 3 courses of Gen Ed. Foreign language, I'm going to talk about that here in a little bit. That's a really good time to actually get that done. And multidisciplinary experience. That's basically your science, tech, and society class, or a minor if you want to do that too. So these are the ones you want to focus on. All of these do not worry about right now. I will tell you right now, come 2017, you're not going to get in it because the juniors and seniors have priority and they don't have enough spaces for the freshmen to take it. Stats and computing and grade issues, I often say you will only get in, you should take those junior, senior year along with some of your upper level chemistry classes. So briefly, let's talk right now. I'm gonna go really quickly over here to biology, just because I do have some biology majors. The big thing to remember, you biology majors, is this. In the spring, you're pretty much going to be taking all the same thing. Biology 131 and lab, if you did not take 135 in the spring, or organic and your Calc 2 selective. That is going to keep you really, really busy. Especially if you're biochemistry and you're taking Calculus 2, which is 5 credits. I usually don't suggest you take much more than that because it's good. Calc 2 is a fair amount of work. And then again, you have the same science core options here that you need to do. Some of the other things I tell students, okay, so let's do this. Let's go to the, nope. Oh, you know what? I can't figure out where I'm going. Let's go to look at minors because some students want to talk about minors. The minor link is in your, oh my gosh, we're going to stop. Let's talk about general education classes. The link to the Gen Ed list is in your email for your appointment. This is where you are going to look for the classes that you want to take for your general education requirements. Now, right now, they don't have the spring classes listed. The best thing to do is to say what semester they're offered, is to put spring 20 down here to give you an idea of what might be offered this semester. Because even though this is the full list, not all of these courses are offered. So for instance, I would like to look for a general education class in classics because you know what? I really like classics. Let's look. So if you do that, it automatically filters for the classes that last spring were offered. Comparative mythology, gender and sexuality in Greek, Roman antiquity, Roman Empire, Greek religion. Great. That's a really good option. So those are classes that you might be able to take. I would like to know what dance classes are taken. Look, there's nothing. That means that when you wanted to do it, that dance classes are actually what's called a free elective. They don't count towards your general education requirements. So that's something that you need to realize. The other thing that is important to know is right here. You can use all of the courses for your gen eds, but you can only use 3 credits of management or econ or ag econ or entrepreneurship to count towards your gen eds. Those classes are kind of mathy. So if you do take an economics course, you do need to take 2 more gen ed courses that are not of these majors to fulfill your requirement. Let's talk about foreign language requirements. This is the most complicated thing my students have to understand, partially because it is a little confusing. The basics are, remember that for the College of Science, it's competency, not credits. So if you test high enough into a foreign language and you can be competent for up to a year of a foreign language, you're pretty much done with the foreign language requirement, except for possibly another semester of language or a culture class. So let's talk about this. Some of you in STAR took the foreign language test. And where you placed depends on what else you have to take. So for instance, I placed in foreign language the level 2, which is 102, the 102 level class. What is left of your requirement? You have to take 102 if you place in 102. You can't go back to 101. You have to take 102. Now, if you take 102, what other class do you have to take? Do you have to take 201? No, you can take 201 or a culture course. If you complete 102, you can get back credit for 101, and that's great. So what if I place in 201? Placing in 201 means you are actually competent for an entire year of a foreign language. It means you basically tested out of 101 and 102. Does that mean you have to take 201? No. You can take it or you can take a culture course. If you take the class, if you take the foreign language class, you actually get the back credit for 101 and 102. If you take the culture course, you do not get that back credit, but your requirement is done. And then you have another 6 credit hours to actually do with what you wish. What's not listed on here is something called the 3 culture course requirement. That means we have a list, and the link is in your email for the culture courses. You can look, instead of taking any sort of foreign language, you can actually take 3 related culture courses. Now, what you have to do is fill out a form and get it approved by me that says that you're going to take 3 courses that have a common theme, and that is going to be the culture that you are going to study for the requirement. And if you have any questions on that, please contact me, and then we can talk about it during our appointment. One last thing we're going to cover today are minors. So a lot of my students want to know what minors are like. My requirement is that you actually take a class in a minor before you add the minor officially. So for instance, I have students who want to take the math minor. Everybody takes math, that's fine. Let's do the history minor. I want to take a history, I want to be a history minor. Some people say, hey, please add my history minor on right now. And I said, well, you know what? You haven't even taken a history class. Once you've taken a history class and you like it, I have no problem adding on the history minor. That's fine. But this link to all of the minors that you are available to take is actually listed. The link is listed in my email. The last thing I'm going to talk about right now is dual majors. Students actually decided, some students say they really want a dual major. What does that mean? What that means is that you're actually adding on another major. You're going to have another advisor. One of the programs we have in the university is called Degree Plus. I can't type. Degree Plus is in the College of Liberal Arts, and what it says is that you can do any sort of degree in the College of Liberal Arts and take the major courses in that major and not the core classes that are required for liberal arts. So you do get a double major. Now, how do you do this? This and any other major for the College of Science, you need a 3.0 GPA to be able to add the Degree Plus. I also usually suggest you take a class in that major before you add it. Every major has its requirements to be able to add the double major, and those are actually the CODA requirements, or the major change requirements. Not only do you need 3.0, you need to actually meet the requirements of that major to be able to change your major to it. So once you look at the CODA requirements for that major, you can see if you meet the requirements to be able to add it. And that's something that we can talk about. At this point in time, most of you will not be adding that double major. I strongly suggest, like the minors, taking a class in the major before you add it, because the double major is usually a lot more work than doing the minor. So I hope this was helpful, and I have an additional video on CODA requirements that's also going to be linked in the email that I just sent out. So thank you all, and if you have any questions, please email me.